Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast is number 1419. The topic is Q&A and the title is Strength Programming for Olympic Lifts. So we had a listener send in kind of like a question, then just kind of like we got into a conversation. And basically what they sent in was they had listened to podcasts that I mentioning like CrossFit, where I've done strength and corrective therapy for CrossFit, CrossFitters, CrossFit athletes, and they asked if I helped with Olympic athletes, Olympic lifting. So that's what their kind of main focus is right now, and they are having strength progression issues and a pain issue in their kind of right shoulder and kind of mid-back, like neck area. So like kind of like the upper mid-back between the shoulder blades up into their neck. And they were wondering if I could help them with advice on how to progress strength for the snatch and to help address that pain that they're feeling. So it was fun conversations, got into a lot of good stuff. So I wanted to share a couple of the things that we got into. So the first thing for pain issues that I thought were two good concepts that maybe people, if they do Olympic lifting, they can think of these two things that are probably going to help their like snatch and clean jerk. So if we look at the two issues that we found for this person that got rid of the pain, was number one was shrugging to lift the bar. So when they were performing the exercise, they were trying to not only drive the bar, like drive through their legs to drive the bar off the floor, but they were also really pulling on the bar, trying to shrug the bar through kind of the mid to top end of the lift. So when they sent me the video, that was something we identified and we worked on correcting. So the shrugging motion of the shoulders during a snatch should be, and it would be same for a clean, should be a natural kind of flow of the transition from the leg drive portion to getting under the bar. So you're trying to create momentum and drive through the legs, not trying to pull on the bar and shrug. So as the bar comes off the hips, like in the second pull, as the bar comes off the hips, you'll begin to kind of like almost like lean away from the bar and then rotate your hands and kind of you're going to rotate through your hands, elbows, shoulders, like the upper body, and you're going to drop the hips and kind of come into that front rack position. So the transition from the leg drive into the front rack catch, your shoulders are going to lift. You'll see that if you look at elite level Olympic lifters. But it's not because you're shrugging. It's just part of the natural process of trying to ride the momentum that you've created through the legs and then rotating to get under the bar to get into the front rack kind of catch position. So that was something we worked on, and one video that I sent them to help with kind of an explanation of this was on YouTube. There is a YouTube channel called Catalyst Athletics. So CATALYST, Catalyst Athletics. And they have a video titled Shrug in the Snatch and Clean. So you can search for that on YouTube, and it's a good description, relatively short video, but a good description. And they're showing, slow motion videos and whatnot of this concept, to where if you are experiencing kind of neck and mid-back pain, this can be one of the reasons. Another issue we were having was in the snatch catch position, they didn't have their shoulder blades properly positioned. So they were trying to like shrug up to hold the bar, and that's going to annihilate your neck and traps and shoulders. So you definitely need to have the shoulder blades kind of rotated down and back. So, excuse me, you want to have the shoulder blades essentially like pulled down towards your hips. They're going to pull kind of like together and down, but more so down than anything. And that's actually one of the reasons why I tend to use low bar squats whenever the person's anatomy and stuff is correct. I use low bar squats to help kind of progress like CrossFit and Olympic lifting athletes. And the reason why is it really helps to kind of teach that proper shoulder blade kind of scapular position. So you can actually just search again on YouTube and type low bar position like in squats, and you'll see that. So you want to squeeze the shoulder blades kind of downward, and that's going to be the same thing you feel in low bar squats. And then it's also like we can use what's called a squat jerk as a good way to practice what it feels like to be in the kind of correct scapular position to hold and stabilize weights without shoulder and neck pain, without elevating the shoulders to try to hold the bar. You actually want to pull the shoulders downward. So a squat jerk is a really cool exercise to kind of practice that. And you can look up a video by a very famous and very good Olympic lifter. The first name is L.U. The last name is Xiaojun. So I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. So the first name is L.U. The last name is Xiaojun. If you search that name in squat jerk, and you'll pretty much see any video. If you can find a video that has his back, where you can see his shoulder blade positioning, you're going to see that he is definitely not shrugged up. His shoulder blades are pulled down towards his hips. And again, that's the same positioning we try to practice in the low bar squat. And whenever I have clients do any kind of squat jerk work, we'll unrack it from the rack in a front rack position. Then they pop it overhead and catch it into a squat. And you have to have your shoulder blades pulled down and really stabilized and braced well to catch that and have any strength to stand back up. So it's a really good exercise to test the positional awareness and setting that position, but in something that feels a little more controlled than a full snatch or a full clean. So those were the pain issues that he said already the pain is going away. So that's awesome. Love to hear that. And then for general strength, we were talking about kind of transitions in what movements we would use to develop to lower body strength. So the idea is you want to develop raw strength, just whatever is the most amount of weight you can freaking move with your legs. Now, relative to the kind of range of motion that you need, but what we're looking for is I typically would have somebody progress through, and there's variations of this, and I would make changes on case-by-case basis sometimes. But they might do a low bar back squat. They might do a cycle of that to try to build their strength in that position. So low bar back squat. Then we would go into high bar back squat, then a front squat, and then maybe some squat jerks taken from the rack. So the rest of the work is technique practice, explosive work, like isolated training if they have any, specific spot weaknesses. So say, for example, we identify their upper hamstrings are kind of weak, then we would try to work on strengthening the upper hamstrings through positional style work. So the main lifts that we progress strength through are going to be what's kind of like a squat that I can move the most weight in, and then how do I start to transition to the position in which I need that strength. So for example, developing from low bar back squats all the way to a front squat to a squat jerk, that makes sense in the sense that low bar back squat, if it fits person's anatomy, and usually for most people it kind of works out okay, they can move a lot of poundage through their legs. They're going to use core and lower back stability to kind of brace that position due to the forward tilt of their torso angle. Then we would transition to a high bar back squat. It decreases the lower back and core work, although it's still extremely necessary, but it just shifts more of the work into the legs and more into a more uprighted torso. Then we go to a front squat, which is a much more uprighted torso, and then we would process into the squat jerk or into the snatch and clean and those movements, and you would start to see the raw power that was developed in the back squats start to transition over into new weights in the Olympic lifts. So a sample program that I sent to them and I'm going to read through it, but if you want me to just send this to you, copy and paste it, I will. Just shoot me an email at brittlirongym@gmail.com. But the sample program I gave them was 16 weeks, but you could do this in, 4 weeks if the person really wasn't brand new to the lifts. It's more so going to be like technique improvement that's causing, strength, like basically an increase in their number of weight, the amount of weight that they can use. So the more advanced somebody is in technique, the longer cycles they're going to need to develop raw strength. So one of the workouts per week, we would do some base of like strength progression through squats. Then the other would be like Olympic lifting technique practice and variations to build, technical aspects within the lift, explosive work, any of those kind of things. So what we could do is over the course of, say, 16 weeks, you might spend the first 7 weeks doing low bar back squats. So the first week you do 4 sets of 4 to 5 reps. Whatever weight is heavy enough that you can't do more than 5 reps, but light enough that you can at least do 4. So 4 sets of 4 to 5 reps. Week 2 is 4 sets of 3 to 4 reps. Week 3 is 4 sets of 2 to 3 reps. Week 4, you're going to deload a little bit. You're just going to do 4 sets of 50% for 5 reps. So the idea of that is weeks 1, 2, and 3, you start to push heavier and heavier weight loads. Then week 4, you give your body a little bit of a chance to recover. Week 5, you do 4 sets of 3 to 4 reps, but heavier than you did in week 2. Week 6, you do 4 sets of 2 to 3 reps, heavier than you did in week 3. And then week 7, you just work up to 1 rep max. So that's a way to kind of push your strength development in the low bar back squat position over 7 weeks. Then in week 8, you're going to transition to high bar back squats, but you're only going to do 4 sets of 50% of 5 reps, 50% of whatever you think your max would be. Doesn't even matter if it's that accurate. You're just kind of getting the practice into the high bar back squat, and you're giving your body a chance to kind of recover a little bit from week 7's 1 rep max. Week 9, you're going to do 4 sets of 3 to 4 reps of high bar back squats. Week 10 is 4 sets of 2 to 3 reps. So you're trying to max those out super hard. Then week 11, you're going to transition to front squats. And again, 4 sets of 50% for 5 reps. Week 12 is 4 sets of 3 to 4. Week 13 is 4 sets of 2 to 3. Now, I've lost a lot of you, but that's okay. Just email me, brittlirongym@gmail.com, and I'll send you these numbers, okay? Then what you can do is, an example in week 14, is maybe you practice your squat jerk, just you taking it out of a rack, just 1 rep at, say, 50%, then 60%, then 70%, then 80%, then 90%. Doesn't seem like much, gives your body a little bit of recovery from the previous week. Then week 15, you're going to try to do the same percentages but add 5%. So 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, what feels like you're almost going to kill yourself. Then week 16, go ahead and try for a new snatch or a new clean jerk. Now, again, you'd have another workout of the week where you'd be practicing those lifts, so the technique would still be developing over the course of these 16 weeks, but you'd be using, definitely sub-maximal weights on those days. But this is kind of an example. The two tips on how to avoid pain, I think, are super helpful for anybody that does Olympic lifting. And then the general approach towards strength training is to start with some type of squat that feels like you can move a lot of weight. Then start to change the positioning to be more positional specific to the lift that you want to improve. Awesome. Okay, well, this was helpful to that person, so I hope that it helps somebody else as well. If you have any individual questions, or if you ever need anything, just reach out. Or email is brittlirongym@gmail.com. So if you are experiencing any pain like this lifter was, please let me know. I'd love to have an opportunity to try to help you. So it's lifting in pain is miserable. I've done it for a lot of times. So if I can help you get rid of that pain, I understand the value of that, and I would be happy to help if you would like to help. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for listening. If you like our podcast, please consider sharing it. The more people we share it with, the more people we can help, and that's the whole goal. And then thank you to the patrons of the podcast, the people who financially support the podcast, which you can do on our website. The podcast is well over $1,000 a year for hosting costs. I give an hour to it every day. I'd love to keep it for free. So thank you to those who donate, so that way we can help cover some of those expenses. I appreciate it. If you do want to give, you can give at our website, www.brittlirongym. There's a one-time option, monthly option, yearly option. However you give, we appreciate it very much. Also, if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube under the name Brittle Iron Gym. If you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, anything you want to know, let us know at our email, brutalirongym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.